The marathon elections are over and the exit polls have spoken. It's a clean sweep that most exit polls are giving Modi. I mean, News Nation, the lowest tally that for a Modi-led government again, NDA back again, is 282 to 290 given by News Nation. The highest tally, in fact, is coming from India Today, Access My India by polls, which are giving it 339 to 365 seats. Obviously, the markets, Anil, I'm joined by Anil Padmanabhan, managing editor of Mint. Anil, obviously, the markets must have factored this in, but what do you think? Are the markets bracing for a rally?
Logically, yes, but like you said, part of this has already been factored into the markets, particularly the Friday, we saw a big rally in the stocks.
Right.
But the margins that the exit polls are showing far exceeds the initial expectations. So I suspect there could be a rally. But the thing is that these are exit polls.
Right, these are not the
caveat
final results. Yeah, absolutely. So do you think that in the beginning of the week there is going to be a rally and then settle down towards midweek ahead of Thursday?
See, yeah, it is going to be a little volatile, is my read, because the markets have already factored in NDA win. So now it all depends on, so where do you go from here between now and Thursday? So there's not much room. There's Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. So it will probably be in a little, not very volatile, but a little going up and down a bit. I don't see sustained.
Okay. What is your take on the exit polls? Obviously, exit polls don't always get it right, and we'd like to tell our viewers that there is a lot of margin for error, and they've been known not to get it right. But almost all of them talking in a similar language, giving it a clean sweep, giving BJP a clean sweep, and some even crossing the 300 mark. What do you make of the exit polls this time?
See, Aditi, given the caveat that you already put out there, that exit polls, these are exit polls and not the actual outcome, the big takeaway from this is the trend. Almost everybody, even the most skeptic exit poll, is showing that the political momentum is clearly with the Bharatiya Janata Party and the NDA. So that is one clear takeaway. Now, whether you want to speculate on the numbers, I'm not very comfortable with that. But the big takeaway is that the political momentum is very, very clearly with the BJP.
I want to talk about the Time magazine article at this point in time, and I want to talk about two articles simultaneously which came in the Time magazine actually. Of course, the main cover story, India's divider-in-chief, and talking about Prime Minister Modi. That of course grabbed all the eyeballs. But the other article, which was on the same same publication and the same time and the same issue, really talked about how Modi is good for business and how he could usher in the reforms that are much needed for the Indian economy. Do you want to take us through, as a business journalist, you must have obviously tracked Modi's track record as far as business is concerned. Do you want to take us through what it means for business confidence in India and overseas, as far as if Modi does come back to power, if he does become Prime Minister again, and if the exit polls are correct, of course?
See, I think Indian business, I'm not sure they're going to be particularly happy the return of Modi, because you must understand India has a legacy of crony capitalism.
Right.
And crony capitalism is premised on getting favored deals. So what the Modi regime has done, if I can allude to one singular reform, the bankruptcy reform, where they've taken all bankrupt companies to a bankruptcy mechanism. So we have already seen several existing promoters being ejected from the boards and new companies taking over. So the creme de la creme of Indian business, I'm talking of the blue chip lot, are not going to be very comfortable, and that does come across to us off the record. On the record, nobody says anything ill of Modi, but off the record, they are very skeptical of the man. And primarily the reason is that they have not got the kind of leeway that they presumed they would have when they backed him in 2014. So Indian big business is not necessarily behind. But having said that, I think we have to start expanding the definition of Indian business.
Right.
If you include the small and medium enterprise, if you include the startups, include the entrepreneurs, I think for the entrepreneurs, on a scale of 1 to 10, the progress may be only 4. But earlier it was 0, in terms of ease of business, etc. to start. So we are moving up the scale. So easing of credit, terms, etc. And so you're creating an ecosystem which will create self-employment, which, by the way, is the biggest USP of, their argument even in their manifesto, is that you need to revisit your idea of employment. The government giving you employment, tenure employment is over. So the only way of employment is self-employment. So their
Which
strategy,
is really the right way to go.
So,
exactly.
So if you add that part of business, they would be pretty pleased at the return of Modi, and also that intersects with the strong BJP base. It also intersects with the SME, trader, that community. So they have been traditional vote banks of the BJP, plus they are going to gain, and plus you have these new kind of startups. So if you look at overall Indian business, it's a mixed message as far as Modi goes.
And what about the investor confidence, the overseas investor confidence, if the exit polls are correct and if we are going to get Prime Minister Modi back?
Oh, they love Modi. From the foreign investor, again, you have to differentiate between the portfolio investor and the foreign direct investment.
Right.
Okay, the foreign portfolio investor is very happy because Modi returns, sentiment grows, and things begin to happen on the stock market. But the foreign direct investor needs more changes on the ground. There are a lot of hiccups still in the system on ease of doing business. You have had some questionable rollbacks and flip-flops in policy. So those are the things that will make foreign business uncomfortable. But they would always prefer to deal with one leadership. So in this, if the exit polls hold true, then PM Modi is all set to return with a majority, whether it is NDA or BJP, doesn't matter, but he will have a majority government, which makes doing legal business, getting legislations passed, doing overall business is excellent. So from a foreign investor's point of view, they would really welcome a Modi win.
As a person who's been tracking business for decades now, what are the, if, as I said, let's put the caveat back again and say if the exit polls are correct and if PM Modi is coming back as Prime Minister, then what are the two or even one or even three reforms you would like to list out, economic reforms that you see, that you would like to see happening, or do you see happening over the next 5 years?
See, the direction of reform will be what he has been pursuing so far. But I suspect that a strong focus of his is going to be on accelerating what we call improving the plumbing in the economy. So if you look at what he has done in the last 5 years, whether it is GST, whether it is Swachh Bharat, whether it's electricity for all, every one of these schemes have improved the plumbing in the economy, right?
Yeah.
So, but some sectors have not really benefited to that degree, particularly the agriculture sector, which became eventually their bugbear in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh polls that went through. They suffered defeats in all three, largely, not purely, largely because of agrarian distress. So that is a huge question mark. Then, there are emerging challenges which I think will take priorities with him, is the interesting idea which they floated in their manifesto of creating a department for water.
Absolutely.
Water is the single biggest challenge. It is cause of drought in several parts of India at this point of time. It is also drinking water is a crisis situation. So I think these will continue to be his big priorities besides, of course, defense will be their number one priority, given that he has been, just means no words. And
exactly.
we recently interviewed Amit Shah and he said as long as the BJP is in power, defense will be the number one priority. So I think these are the big contours that will come through, but the biggest message will come through in the budget, which will be presented in July.
Thank you, Anil. Thank you for your time. So the exit polls have spoken, as we said, predicting a clean sweep for the BJP and the NDA and the return of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We'll keep coming back to you with more. Stay tuned for our live coverage on May 23rd, which is the results, and when we will know whether the exit polls have actually spoken correctly or not.